This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. A project in McFarland will not move forward, at least not for now, after residents push back. Last night, the Village Plan Commission and Community Development Authority unanimously voted no on downtown redevelopment plans. Residents had voiced their opposition, especially because the proposal included a blight assessment. So for about 60 homeowners, the city deemed that the property their homes sit on was more valuable than the cost to improve or renovate the structures on that property. Often, blight assessments are used by municipalities to exercise eminent domain and take control of properties. Village leaders said that's not why they wanted to use blight assessments. They said they were using them as a tool to determine which areas needed more support or funding, but it was enough to really concern residents. Now that it's been shot down, if officials want to reconsider downtown development plans, they'd have to create a whole new proposal. And Madison will soon have its interim police chief. Assistant Chief John Patterson will take the helm. He was confirmed by the Police and Fire Commission last night. He has the support of Chief Sean Barnes and two other assistant chiefs. He'll take over when Barnes leaves for his new position in Seattle. Patterson has spent more than 25 years at the Madison Police Department. Since 2019, he's overseen the Honor Guard, the Mental Health Unit, and the SWAT team. Barnes' last day is February 1st. Now, the Police and Fire Commission will work to find the next permanent leader of the department. Now, in the past, this has proven to be a lengthy process. Whoever they choose will be Madison's fourth police chief in about 6 years. Meanwhile, Edgewood College is changing its name. It'll now be Edgewood University. The college is turning 100 in 2027. Graduate programs were first introduced at Edgewood in the 80s. That's typically when institutions are considered universities. The name change will take effect in July. For more top stories from all over the state, you can head to WMDXradio.com. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. This is 92.7 WMDX News. You feel it as soon as you walk out the door. In fact, you might feel it when you walk up to the door. We had wind chills of 20 below overnight and into this morning. You can get frostbite in 10 to 30 minutes on a day like today. It presents a conundrum for parents of young kids. Their car seats aren't as safe when they're wearing a coat. But it's so cold. Lisa Hale has some tips on keeping kids safe in this weather.
It is mighty cold, and as temperatures drop into the single digits and below this week and next, UW Health Kids has essential safety reminders to keep the young ones safe in winter weather. Rizelle Eithun, the Child Safety and Injury Prevention Manager for UW Health Kids, says many winter injuries are preventable. She reminds families to let children come indoors periodically to prevent hypothermia or frostbite. Wear sunscreen and stay hydrated even in the cold. Indoors, make sure that there's a carbon monoxide detector on every floor, including sleeping areas. And when in the car, wearing bulky clothes or winter coats can prevent a snug, proper fit of a child's car seat harness. Adjust the harness while the child's coat is off, then put the coat on top like a blanket. Wait until you arrive at your destination before putting the coat back on your child.
This kind of cold is dangerous for anybody who stays outside too long. That means the unhoused population is at even greater risk of frostbite and hypothermia. Local shelters are usually ready to accept more people during times like these. If you need somewhere to warm up, call 211. They'll be able to tell you exactly where to go. And your animals are at risk of getting hurt in this cold too. Here's meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
If dogs have to remain outdoors, they'll need to be inside of an enclosed kennel with a doghouse as a shelter from the sub-zero temperatures. Just like people, pets' cold tolerance can vary from pet to pet based on their coat, body fat, activity level, and health. So be aware of your animal's tolerance for the cold weather and adjust accordingly. For example, you'll probably need to shorten your dog's walks in frigid temperatures. Along with short-haired pets, short-legged pets may also become colder faster because their bellies and bodies are more likely to come in contact with the snow-covered ground. And pets with diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, and hormonal imbalances may also have a harder time regulating their body temperatures. And the same goes for very young and very old animals. If you need help determining your pet's temperature limits, consult your vet. And some things that you can do is provide choices or stay inside. Play dress up and consider a dog sweater or a coat. And always check their paws. They could crack or bleed from stepping on ice and are also prone to frostbite, just like us. And be aware, if your pet is whining, shivering, seems anxious, slows down or stops moving, or they seem weak and start looking for warm places to burrow, get them back inside quickly because they're showing signs of hypothermia.
And now is not the time for ice skating, but the rink at the Edgewater is finally open. Every year for the last few years, they seem to open later and later as our winters change. This time, though, they tried something new. Instead of keeping the rink closed, waiting and waiting and waiting for the right weather, they turned it into a roller rink instead. But now they've finally been able to transition into the ice rink that's become a Madison tradition. However, just know that they close the rink if the wind chill is below -10 degrees.
A milestone for the Badgers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. After a string of conference wins, Wisconsin is back in the nation's top 25, ranked 24th this week. The Badgers host Ohio State tonight in Madison, and if they win, it'll be Greg Gard's 200th career win as head coach. Gard has helped players improve their game, like forward Steven Crowell.
Steve is best when he's aggressive. And I think the last 4 games, we've tweaked how we sub him in and out a little bit. I think it's helped him, but he knows an aggressive Steve is the best Steve.
NBA, the Bucks are in action tonight at Fiserv Forum. They host the Sacramento Kings. NFL, Packers players cleaning out their lockers now that the season is over after losing to the Eagles Sunday night. The Bears have requested to interview Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich for their head coaching job. They also plan to meet with Mike McCarthy, who was not renewed by the Dallas Cowboys. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. It would be easy to make a joke about Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, if it was a box office bomb. You could say something like, Den of Thieves 2, Panterrible, bombed at the box office. Unfortunately, for joke purposes, the film did well and led the way this past weekend with over $15 million at the gate after pulling in actually better reviews than the first installment. It was the only film released this past weekend that opened wide. Following this week's number 1 to round out the top 5 are sequels, prequels, and a famous tragic villain that have all been reviewed well and are showing some box office legs. It was Mufasa the Lion King coming in second place with just over $13 million in sales in its 4th week of release. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 finished with $11 million at the box office. Also in its 4th week on the big screen, Focus Features' Nosferatu finished in 4th place with $6.8 million at the box office. Moana 2 finished in the number 5 spot with $6.5 million at the box office in its 7th week of release. The show must go on. Despite wildfires continuing to burn, production will start up again in Los Angeles. After being put on hold last week, Variety reports that shows like Jimmy Kimmel Live, NCIS Origins, and The Neighborhood will resume production. Other shows like Hacks, Suits LA, Ted, and Amazon's Fallout have not resumed production after being affected last week. Hollywood continues to rally around the victims of the LA fires. The latest organization to donate money is the Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of TV and Radio Artists. SAG-AFTRA had closed its offices due to the fires, which started January 7th. The union also postponed its in-person award nominating ceremony. The SAG-AFTRA president, actress Fran Drescher, offered support to victims and those who have lost their homes and announced her union would donate $1 million to victims through the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. It's one thing not to advance in a nationally televised singing competition show. It's another thing to storm off when you're eliminated. And it's still another thing to do it dressed as a toad. Macy Gray is a Grammy-winning artist. On The Masked Singer, where her identity was concealed, she was referred to as Toad in a Hole, also known as a disgusting name for a breakfast plate. Gray eventually came back for the Q&A where she said, "You know, I've been singing for a long time and now I'm a toad." Ouch. At least she got paid. Timothée Chalamet will not only host Saturday Night Live in January, he will also be the musical guest. SNL announced the actor will make his 3rd appearance as host January 25th. In addition to receiving rave reviews for his acting in the Bob Dylan biopic A Complete Unknown, the actor has also been lauded for his singing. Chalamet says he spent 5 years preparing for the role, which included singing lessons, and was adamant about not lip-syncing. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is cold out there again this morning with a wind chill hovering around -15, and we're going to keep that wind chill below zero for a good chunk of the day today. Mostly sunny, our actual high 14 this afternoon. Tonight, clear to above tomorrow. Mostly sunny and a bit warmer with a high of 22. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 1 above.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.